Texas. This is a live look from the Capitol there, Austin. So the Texas Senate and House committees on disaster preparedness and flooding are meeting right now inside the Capitol building. This is what you're looking at. So just to add some context, a layer of context, the U.S. House met about FEMA disaster this morning, primarily focused on the flooding that happened in Texas a few weeks ago, and things got heated. It was tense.
Yeah.
This has been one of the, ever since I feel like the flood happened in those days after and weeks after, things have been tense regarding FEMA. Notifications there in that area, in the Hill Country area, when it comes to safety. So let's listen in to what, again, this is the Texas Senate and House committees on disaster preparedness and flooding. Let's take a listen in to what's being said right now.
Chief Kidd said something earlier. You said when Representative Johnson was asking you about what you needed, you said facilities, so if you had enough facilities, you could be 3 hours from every Texan, I think is the quote I heard you say. Have you thought about partnering with either school districts or TxDOT? Both of them operate and maintain vehicles. Both of them have facilities or property in most communities. At that point, maybe, and I know our school districts have a history of during the school year, during ice storms and other such, to get up and they look at the roads to see whether or not the school district's going to have school or not, and it's safe enough for people to get to school. So that's just one thought as you move forward, because I think it'd be important for you to have it. And I think as I read, and I'm not sure, have you had access to the calls that came into the emergency operators? There's a list of calls that came in that were recorded by an IT director from Kerrville. Have you seen them?
I have not listened to those, no, sir.
Okay, well, there's a transcript, and I'm going to make it available to you.
Thank you.
Because one of them that concerns me here, at 5:32 a.m., another rescue team arrives in Kirk County and asks, who's in command? The dispatcher team says they don't have an incident command. Can you advise who's running command? The team asks, sir, we don't have an incident command right now, the dispatch responded. The rescue team continued to alert other responders to their presence. So without an incident command, obviously, how do you coordinate the efforts?
And so, great question, and I don't dispute any of the transcript. I can tell you that the way the incident command system works is sometimes jurisdictional. If you were in the city of Kerrville, then Kerrville local authorities would have established command. But so Senator, if you could think of those as if there's a traffic wreck at an intersection, one traffic wreck, 2 cars at an intersection. The first arriving disciplines that show up on that scene by the National Incident Management System and Incident Command System, whether it's police, fire, EMS, the most senior person on that first arriving apparatus should establish command for that incident. Everyone else coming into that incident should either go to the incident if ordered or stage if not needed at that point in time. I'll tell you, every traffic accident changes commands about 3 or 4 times. From firefighters trying to gain access to somebody that's trapped, to the medical providers that are trying to provide care, to the law enforcement that's trying to do the investigation, to the public works people that are trying to repair the street sign or the lights damaged, to the tow truck driver who's going to haul it all away. Those are changes of command. 1 intersection, 2 vehicles.
Correct.
But when you have an entire area, you could have multiple command posts.
Correct.
What an emergency operations center is supposed to do is support those multiple command posts. And I can tell you, in a dynamic situation like this, where a massive amount of calls are coming in at one point in time, every individual apparatus that went to every individual rescue would have been establishing their own command, and that may not have been transmitted back to the people answering the 911 call or the radio system. Doesn't mean they didn't do it. It just happened so fast in a period of time like that that it takes a little bit of time to get those systems organized.
So this would be an example of a reason why we have to have people who are trained, well-trained,
completely,
to understand what to do in a situation like this.
Yes, sir.
What is a code red? A firefighter asked dispatcher to send out a code red alert.
Yep. Also another great technical question. Code red is a trade name of a reverse notification system. So across the nation, we talked about WIA, the Wireless Emergency Alert System, and IPAWS, the Integrated Public Alert Warning System. Those are federal programs. FEMA usually supports and runs those, activated by a lot of different people. But each county in Texas also has access to a local reverse notification system. You may know them as Reverse 911, as Code Red, as iInfo, as Everbridge. There's a dozen or so different name brands. Code Red is one of those name brands.
The reason I ask is there was a question, is there any way we could send out a Code Red to our Hunt residents asking them to find higher ground or stay home? We have to get that approved with our supervisor, the dispatcher response. But the supervisor, it says here, they couldn't be immediately available on the phone. Just another example of why we need to get this professionalized.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Members, that's all the members of the panels up here. Chairman King and I'm going to try to run through some of this. You want to go first, Chairman King? Feel free. Chief, it's good to see you. I wish it was a different circumstance. I'm gonna try to run through these. A lot of this stuff's been kind of addressed, but I'm gonna try to bring a little bit of perspective. I do agree with Representative Louderback and Representative Wilson on the interoperability conversation, and I want to be clear with this. Having met with DPS, but having had this conversation in 2011 when I came here, having seen Chairman Nichols try to address this over a decade, it is extremely complicated. That said, we have a whole lot of technology that I saw in action at DPS regarding IP addresses, even to the point cell phones and things were able to connect. Now, I'm not a technician and I'm not advocating that I know the answer, but there was a actual platform that seemed to coordinate no matter what P25, Motorola, or what any technologies were. So here's what I would suggest, and Chairman King's got more expertise in setting this up. If we go down this road, it will be a multi-discipline conversation at local, state, I don't know, include federal. That's another layer of anxiety. But if we're going to go down this road, and it ties into some of the other panels we hear with internet and how that works and what a vital resource that has become in these disaster recoveries, it will take time. It's not something we can decide in the next 4 weeks. But I personally am kind of frustrated and don't want to hear about it again after we get done. And what I mean by that, it needs to be holistic and very, very partnering and not turf building. And I don't want to leave you with the impression that's your job. It's these guys' jobs to set that format up and get to the bottom of what is possible and what it costs before we get out of here next session and through the interim. I have not had this question answered at any level. I've asked it 50 different ways, 50 different times over Sunday, and people have followed up, and there may be no legitimate answer. Back to Chairman Bonham's perspective. If you have the opportunity to kind of start at Hunt Store, and you see where the two rivers really come together, and then the bottleneck, the very narrow area that creates, you understand why shelter in place and higher ground is the only course of action we have today, based on our early warning and what actionable items we assign to that. So I needed to know, when were the roads impassable? At what point in time? Was it 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock the Thursday afternoon, or could we have gotten people out at 1:15 a.m.? I think pretty clearly it was way early, because I don't know when the first low river crossing was, and that very narrow, 2-lane, very narrow road in and out of Hunt, Texas was locked up. So that is a critical point as we have conversations, called the ultimate change we make in this process, if we're able to make changes at all, is the best possible objective information to give to the local person designated as the evacuee call, the confidence to call that. We don't have technology. Well, let me back up. We may find that through July 31st hearings, there is technology that can do a better job and pinpoint rain bombs and those events. This area is not a rain bomb event every time, though. It doesn't take much on flat limestone rock. But we have to start with that as a basic principle, because if you have to evacuate under a threat of a 2-inch rain a day before, that's what you do, or you decide not to do and take the consequences. I understand making an evac call and all the conversations that go into it, especially on a July 4th weekend with many, many people in that area. But I have not found that. Do you know when the outside access in and out of that area was effectively non-existent?
So, Senator, I don't think I have the whole answer. I think I have part of the answer, and I'm hoping that I can give you a path to get to that full answer. And what we have from some of the discussion boards of the National Weather Service on July 4th at 3:19 a.m. It's the timestamp. This is part of the in-depth from the Mesonet discussion boards, and I know you're familiar with that, but please don't ask me to explain that for everybody else. The what at 3:19 a.m. was minor flooding is occurring and moderate flooding is forecast. The where is the Guadalupe River at Hunt. The when is from early this morning to just after midnight. I'm on July 4th now, 3:19 a.m. The impacts, this is what it says. At 18 feet, automobiles parked near the North Fork of the Guadalupe River at Camp Waldemar washed downstream. Roads and low bridges near the North and South Forks flood badly and are dangerous to motorists. The Highway 39 bridge floor near Hunt is 6 feet underwater. Some residents are cut off and should stay put. Secondary roads and bridges near the river are extremely dangerous to motorists. This is near USGS.
You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We are now at the top of the hour. It is 1 o'clock. Right there on your screen, you're looking at the Texas Senate and House Committees on Disaster Preparedness and Flooding. They're meeting at the Capitol building in Austin. They're talking about the aftermath of those the tragic flooding that happened in the Hill Country a few weeks ago there. So lawmakers there are discussing that.